Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the EXP Podcast, and this time we have a very special episode. This is an awesome collaboration with some friends and content creators. Arkery is back, and this time we're not talking about Persona 3 Reload. And Shane is back. This time we're not talking about Souls games or Zelda. And first time ever on the EXP Podcast, we have Saiyaran Gaming, and we can all introduce ourselves real quick, but we're talking about 2023 and gaming and the video game awards and Geoff Keighley and all that stuff. But yeah, Saiyaran, you can introduce yourself first because this is your first time on the channel.
Cool. Hi, I'm Saiyaran and I do game reviews, product reviews. I like games, I talk about it. I talk a lot of crap on Twitter, but it's Saiyaran everywhere.
Yeah. Arkery, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Arkery. Basically the same thing. I also talk about games on my YouTube channel, on my Twitter. Mostly JRPGs and PlayStation stuff. As Nishwick said, I'm a big Persona 3 fan, so most of the time that I've been on here, it was about Persona 3, but now I'm here to talk about other stuff, because I do talk about other stuff as well.
Yeah.
So, but that's about it.
And Shane, I think this is your fourth time on here, but
oh,
yeah.
That's crazy.
yeah, you're a veteran now, but yeah, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, hey guys, I'm Shane. I'm just a really good friend of Nish, and I also love talking about video games, but mainly with him and other friends.
Yeah. But yeah, Shane is PC Master Race all the way. He's like the PC god. But yeah,
I don't know anymore. I play so many things now.
Oh, yeah, you play everything, but like PC is like your main thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but 2023 was definitely a year for video games. Do you guys think that this is the best year for video games? Because that's a tough statement to make, but I think it is definitely up there.
It's not even a question. I don't know why people keep arguing that. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, Ocarina of Time is not better than every other game that came out this year. Just because the year Ocarina, I think it was like Ocarina of Time and Metal Gear, like they came out the same year.
It was Ocarina of Time, Metal Gear Solid, what else? Resident Evil 1 or 2, one of those games was there. Banjo-Kazooie, Xenogears is 1998 as well. So yeah,
it doesn't beat what we have, though.
Yeah, it doesn't beat this year. I think 2017 comes close, though. I think 2017.
That was a good year.
Yeah.
Yeah, there have been a lot of good games, but this is like definitely one of the best years. I don't know if it's the best one, because I don't really have in memory of like, oh, this is one of the best years or that's one of the best ones. But this is definitely like up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one of the best years of gaming. I do think it's one of the worst years for the industry, though,
yeah.
with all the layoffs and stuff. It's weird. It's one of the best years for game releases. Mm-hmm. But then for me, like as a PC gamer, we also had some like the worst PC ports in history. So it's like but yeah, no. In terms of like the amount of like, I guess, high-profile games that we got, this is like, we're probably never gonna have a year like this again for a long time.
Yeah, I think, like, I remember, of course, pandemic was the pandemic. There wasn't many like releases then. 2021 was like still getting out of that pandemic rut. But last year and this year were amazing. Like last year was also very good for me personally. I had a lot of games that I played last year. And honestly, last year I played more of the Game of the Year nominees than this year. But last year was Elden Ring, God of War, Xenoblade, Plague Tale, and Bayonetta, and Stray, and some other games. But this year, I think the quality of games is like...
Stray.
I'm with you on that. Oh my god, Stray is just... Oh my god.
Stray is good. Yeah. I like Stray. I'm not gonna be here sitting like it's one of the best things ever made, but it was fun. I liked it.
I'm a dog person, but I also love Stray.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't say it's a game of the year, but I did like it.
Yeah, it was a game. But yeah, what were your favorites from this year? Like, of course, the ones that are nominated, of course, there's a lot of favorites, but also including the games that were not on the list as well.
You can go. I'm sorry.
Actually, I was gonna piggyback off what you said before, like way before, like Final Fantasy 16. Man, that was like one of my favorite games this year, and I don't know, it just sucks not to see it on that list. But yeah, definitely that was one of the cool ones that I like loved.
I think people keep getting mad at Wonder for me on the list. I'm like, Alan Wake 2 and Final Fantasy 16 have the same exact score.
Yeah.
And Final Fantasy 16 has more score or more reviews than Alan Wake. That's even
it
more
does. Interesting.
Leave Wonder out of it. Like, go for Alan Wake 2.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite games, I have two, maybe three games that aren't anywhere. But Bayonetta Origins, I really like that game. I'm a big Bayonetta fan. Bayonetta Origins was like, I didn't expect to like that much. I bought it, and my original thought process going into the review was like, I'm gonna buy it because no one else is, because people are like, this is like a $6 game. And then I played it, and I was like, this is an extremely polished, really nice game, and I wish it had sold more. And
Heard
then
that, Shane?
Jedi Survivor.
Yep.
Jedi Survivor tugged a lot of emotion inside of me. I didn't expect it to, even though it was like broken at launch.
That's cool. Yeah, I've heard really good things about Jedi Survivor, except for the fact that it was broken on launch. But it's funny, I remember Shane and a few of our other friends, we were watching the Game Awards live last year, and we saw Bayonetta Origins, we were like, what is this? This just came out of nowhere. That was good. Yeah, it looks interesting. It looks like a very interesting game.
Actually, I'm a huge Bayonetta fan, and I played all three of them multiple times. Yeah. So I actually didn't get my hands on Origins because I was like, I don't know, it threw me off. I was just like, this is really...
It looks so different from what the
you were mad at
series.
Bayonetta 3's lore, then Origins corrects that at the very, very, very end, and you're like, that was so satisfying for me, because 3 was like, what are we doing?
I know. Then I had to check that out then, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For me, I basically played a lot of the nominations as well. Like, the only ones that I haven't played is Alan Wake and Baldur's Gate, but I also really like them. And for the ones that haven't been nominated, Raincoat is probably still one of my favorite releases from this year. It's a very weird game, and it's also, I don't necessarily think it even deserves to be like nominated or something. It's not like it got snubbed or anything, because it has a lot of problems, but there's something about it that makes it like really memorable and really special to me from this year.
Does it live up to Danganronpa?
It's better than the first Danganronpa, but I don't think it's as good as 2 or... V3 is very polarizing. Some people say it's the worst game by far. I think it's the best one.
Interesting.
And I think Raincoat is like slightly below V3.
Okay.
I really like Raincoat.
That's a really cool thing they did with like it's like the original developers of Danganronpa, and they just did a new IP, right?
Yeah, but you feel that still. It's kind of like how they went with From Software, from Dark Souls to Elden Ring. It's like you can feel the same DNA in it, but it's also very different. That's the same way Raincoat, like the same type of game, but you can feel that's kind of a Danganronpa sequel thing.
Yeah.
Like a spiritual successor, I guess is the best way to say it.
That's cool.
But,
should have mentioned Armored Core.
Oh yeah, Armored Core. I don't know how many gotten more nominations.
Yes. Generally, that was probably one of the most like that probably is the best combat game that we got probably this year, in just terms of like the customization and enemy variety and stuff. Man,
yeah,
that was a good one.
So smooth.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
That's a game that I haven't played yet, but I'm really interested in getting it. There were some things holding me back originally, but since everyone's praising it so much, I do really want to pick it up at some point.
I feel bad because I thought it was gonna like not be good. I was like, oh, From Software's not showing any trailers, they're not marketing the game, it's not gonna be good. It was like the opposite of how I felt for Tears of the Kingdom, because Nintendo was doing that, but I was like, oh, they have something up their sleeve, they don't want to show it. But it was the opposite for me with the Armored Core. I don't know why I was being so negative about it, and then it came out and it was really good, and I was like, okay, I think I should give this a shot. Yeah, I'll probably play it next year on PC. I'm looking forward to that. But for me, a game that was, I guess, snubbed, and I'll talk about this a little later, but you guys definitely know this. I'm a huge Xenoblade fan. The DLC for Xenoblade 3 this year was phenomenal. Like, it wraps up a 13-year-long saga. Plus, I just made a video about this. It's literally taking everything that worked from all the other games and putting it in this like short DLC, but the DLC was like a big meaty adventure as well. It was like a 25 to 30 hour experience, and it like really separated itself from the original base game as well. So Xenoblade Chronicles Future Redeemed is my second number 2 game of the year, and if it was like a full-on experience, it might even have beaten Tears of the Kingdom, which is my number 1. But yeah, I guess we can. What else do I have? Yeah, I guess we can talk about the nominations. So like, what do you guys think of some of the categories? Of course, like game of the year, Saiyaran, you're saying Alan Wake is like the one that just kind of came out of nowhere. And I think I was watching like the Spawncast or something. I watched like a bit of it last night. They were saying that Alan Wake is kind of like the Oscar bait of the Game Awards this year. You know how in the Oscars they have like that weird kind of A24 movie? I think that's the Alan Wake for this year. So what do you guys think of? And Shane, you've played it, so I also want to know what you think about it as well. Yeah.
I mean, I think that one and RE4, they keep saying like those two don't deserve to be on that list for like different reasons. At least for Alan Wake, I could say that no, that game deserves to be on there. That's like, I mean, just to keep it short, like it was probably one of the most like immersive horror games I've played in a long time.
Okay.
And like, it's not even just about its gameplay, like just the tone, setting, kind of like how the gameplay and everything about it is like is this like basically metaphor or symbolism to its story itself. Just like everything about it was just amazing. And I don't know how many of you guys are RE fans here, but I feel like Resident Evil or Evil Within and all these other horror games, they're not really scary. They're intense because of their like gameplay and inventory management and stuff. But like this one was genuinely scary. Like it will scare the shit out of you. So that's what I really liked about Alan Wake 2. And there's not a horror game like it that exists. So yeah, I think its uniqueness and style and everything is deserving of that spot.
I do think Street Fighter should be there because just because it's a fighting game, it's one of the highest rated games of the year.
It was a 90 plus, right?
Street Fighter 6? 92, 93. Wow. Like it was great, but it's like, but it's a fighting game. It's like that doesn't matter. There's a single player aspect that they actually like created for like you could think like 20, 30 hours into it. Then there's the online. It's not as sweaty as other Street Fighter games because there's so many more casual people. I can hop on right now. I have 40 hours in the game, and it's a fighting game. But I heard
it's really beginner friendly as well, which is nice.
I can attest to that. Yeah, that's true.
It's not super sweaty. It's not gonna but because of I won't say politics, but I guess politics of you have your own category because you're gonna win best fighting game. But it's like Tears of the Kingdom probably would win whatever its category and it could possibly win game of the year. So so that always irks me when they do that to fighting games.
And like I remember Smash Ultimate was like nominated in 2019 because it missed the cutoff for 2018. I feel like Street Fighter 6's single player looks better than Smash Ultimate's did. I mean, like I played Smash Ultimate single player and it kind of sucked low key. I was not a fan. I was not a fan of it. But
it was just challenges. That's all it was.
I think Smash Bros peaked with its single player in Brawl, and then after that it was just downhill. But what are your guys' thoughts on Baldur's Gate 3? I know, like, none of you guys have played it. I know Arkery, Shane, you haven't. Saiyaran, you haven't either, right?
I haven't touched it.
What are your guys' thoughts on the game? Because I can see the hype for it. I don't know if I get it yet, though. Maybe I just have to play the game to get it. But, like, what do you guys think about Baldur's Gate's hype?
It's a bit hard to say, but I do feel like in like place of deserving to be there, I feel like it definitely deserves that spot because I don't think I heard anyone talk about Baldur's Gate up until a certain day, and from that day on, every single day on Twitter, on YouTube, on Discord, people are talking about it. It's like very like everyone loves the game that played it. A lot of people that didn't think that they would be interested in it now sunk like 200 hours into it and are loving it or still playing it. So in that aspect, I do see the hype, but also because I haven't played it, it's a bit hard to see at the same time. Yeah. Because it looks very complicated, a bit niche as well at the same time. Yeah. So I don't know if it would be for me or not, which is also just why I haven't played it yet.
I feel like it follows a very similar story to Elden Ring. Kind of like, this more, I don't want to say niche, but, more hardcore game, and now it's like been expanded to like so many people. So
okay.
So one of my really good friends, I collab with him a lot. Ayo, this is his type of game. He loves this game. So for him, he hated Armored Core because he thought it was too easy.
Yeah.
I was like, what? So for him, I like to get his perspective on games, so he loved it. I have a coworker, he's like a diehard, like he only plays on PC. In PC gamers, people talk about PlayStation, Xbox. No, PC gamers don't buy games. Like they're like, and he bought it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a huge D&D fan. So I was like, okay, if he bought a game, and I've known this guy for a while, if he bought a game, it has to be good. And then the third thing, when I went to PAX East last year, or this year in March, I got to play Demio on PSVR 2, which is basically a D&D-esque type game. And it was just super fun. It made me want to get a VR headset so I could play that game. And when I talked to somebody that was like, that's what Baldur's Gate is. It's just not a VR. And you have a lot more options. And I was like,
interesting.
I might like this game. So I am planning on playing it co-op with AO. I think I'm gonna buy it whenever it goes on sale next, and I'll just buy it and I'm gonna play it. And I'm not making a video on it, just like play it as something I'll just stream or whatever. Yeah. But I think that a lot of people like it and they have their reasons for liking it. And it is extremely niche though, because I can't. That doesn't mean it can't be game of the year, but it is just extremely niche. A turn-based game, which is totally fine. I love turn-based games. Yeah. All these options, a D&D-esque, like it's just so specific and like zeroed in that it's kind of like turns a lot of people off. But at the same time, it sold well, it scored well, it deserves to be there. I will try it.
Interesting. I do want to give it a shot sometime next year when I've cleared up the backlog, when I have some time to sink into it, because it's going to be a very long game. Some of my friends have been like, hey, we should do a campaign in Baldur's Gate, multiplayer campaign. I haven't fully committed to it yet, but this is a very interesting turn of events with Game of the Year 2023, because I remember at the beginning of the year, everyone was saying Zelda is gonna win, and like I was like, no, I don't. Like Zelda is like the only time Zelda was like a lock to win Game of the Year was 2017, and that's it. That's the only time Zelda has been a lock. But then I thought personally, this is gonna sound crazy, I thought the two upsets for Zelda would have been Final Fantasy 16 or Starfield, which are not even in the Game of the Year nominations. And then Baldur's Gate just came out of nowhere, and I'm like, wow, I didn't expect it to be this game. And yeah, speaking of Starfield, like, what are you guys' thoughts on, like, Shane, you played the game, right?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, like, only one nomination, so.
I mean, look, so I think for Starfield I didn't hate it, and I felt like, there was a lot of hate towards the game even before it like came out for some reason. Like I don't know why, but yeah, like after playing it, yeah, like I don't know if you guys were hyped for it or looked at anything about it, but you know how on YouTube, if you just go and watch or before a game releases, you type in the game's name, you will see so much or so many videos of just great content about it and stuff. I just typed in Starfield, it's like, Starfield sucks. This is the worst game ever. I hate Bethesda, like, just constantly. Yeah,
it was either, like, a lot of hype for it, or, like, a lot of negativity for it. And, I mean, it is, like, I feel sort of sad for Xbox fans, because, like, that was their game. But I am also like kind of happy for Xbox because Hi-Fi Rush got a lot of nominations.
Yeah, like I don't. Okay, so I agree with Hi-Fi Rush whenever they talk about like that should have been there. But Starfield, I don't know, because the weird thing with Starfield is like it feels like a game that was like it has its game design roots all the way like 10 years ago. Like a lot of games, I feel like they have like raised their bars in terms of game design, story, setting, just like everything. And then just when you play Starfield, you feel like you're playing a game back on the Xbox 360, but not in like a good way, in a lot of like bad ways with like facial animations, just the story beats not hitting, constant loading screens. It's I don't want to say it's a bad game because it's not. It was definitely a fun game, but I don't think it was anything like crazy.
Oh yeah.
And to me it's similar to like how I felt about Fallout 4 when that came out. But probably maybe a little worse just because like I think I expected a little bit more from them, And I think the big problem too is that their engine is just not good enough for these games that they want to go for. I don't understand why Xbox like players want this to be there when I'm like, you have Hi-Fi Rush, like this is literally amazing.
Phenomenal.
I don't know why you need this.
Super unique.
Because it wasn't that AAA blockbuster, and it's like, no, that's not how games work. Just here's a good one. Take the W.
Well, certainly better than Redfall. So.
Oh my god! Oh, Redfall! I completely forgot about that. Oh my god!
How could you? Well, I mean, you could, but how could you? Because it was
Yeah.
that was the
Xbox wants you to forget about it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
That was such a
didn't
big
help that it was like
first-party
2
L.
weeks before Zelda. Redfall was like the beginning of May, and then Zelda was like the middle of May, and then everyone's like, Redfall, that happened? Yeah.
Yeah, that game stinks.
Yeah,
I didn't play
that-
Starfield. I think it. I don't know. Like at first, I was like hyped for it, and then like when it released, I was like, I don't even care. Like it's downloaded on my Xbox and on my PC, and I still haven't booted it up.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, eh.
Honestly, I think Fallout 4 is probably better. Just because, like, I actually think this game's exploration is like the worst. I don't like it. Yeah, because I mean, because like Fallout, it was like, you know, it's open world, right? You can just like walk towards your objective, but then do stuff in between, like any other open world game. And this one is just loading screen. Okay, now I'm in space. Loading screen. Okay, now I'm on a planet with no content. Okay, loading screen. So it just makes you not want to explore, if that makes sense. It's like I think I heard this from somewhere, and I love this. It's like it's the biggest game they ever made, but also like the smallest.
It's
Like
very
the most
restricted.
ambitious. Yeah. It's just like a bunch of tiny areas. A lot of it with not really much to do, all tied together. So yeah.
Someone told me if I play it to just play the main story, and then I'll like the game. And then if I went back and played the side stuff, I probably wouldn't like the game as much. But if I just went through and just played the main story, I'd have a good time. So it's kind of on my list of end of the year stuff I want to play, just because backlog, whatever. I'll stream it, not make any content. I'm planning on taking like a break or whatever for the holidays. But I think that if that's your point, like, oh, just play the main story, then it's not a good game.
Yeah.
A lot of what I hear from it is also like, oh, it gets good 20 hours in. Like the
Oh,
first
yeah.
10 hours are not good, then it
That's
gets
not
better,
fun.
and then
Yeah.
after 20 hours it's good. Which is just like, that does not
Death
sound
Stranding.
interesting at all.
That's-
And actually,
I don't know if you agree with it or not, because you were of course the one who played it, but...
oh my god, man, I don't know. Like, it got good for me like earlier on, but I think that's just because of nostalgia, straight up, just from me playing Fallout 4 and other like Bethesda games. But you mentioned the main campaign, right, being good. It's actually the faction content that I believe is side content that's actually good. The main campaign itself is actually, in my opinion, terrible. Yeah. So
I mean-
it's weird. I think people consider the faction stuff to be the main story stuff anyways, but yeah, it's a hard one to recommend. I mean, I think if you play on Game Pass, it's nice, right? It's a it's a good Game Pass game because it's like a 100-hour game. What, pay $10 and you play it? That's good, but I mean, compared to the ones we have on this list, no. I would put like Hi-Fi Rush there in a second. I would
Have you
even
guys
consider
played Hi-Fi Rush? Any of you guys?
Yeah, I did.
It's amazing. Like it broke into my top 5 favorite games of the year, and also it's just like a personal favorite of mine because I play guitar and I love rock music and all that. So I really love that game, and it's just a very unique like kind of game. And it's funny because before it was even announced, I was like, why doesn't like a game do that with rhythm and combat? I think that would be a really cool thing to do in a game. And then it was announced and it was shadow dropped, and I was like, this game is for me. I need to play it. And I was always telling Shane, because like Shane and like all of our friends, they've been playing Xbox since like way back in the day, and I've not played like Halo or Gears of War or anything like that. So I always tell them Hi-Fi Rush is my favorite Microsoft Xbox game because I'm not like a Halo or Gears of War or anything like that fan. But yeah.
I think and somebody said this, and I was like, if Hi-Fi Rush was made by Nintendo, would it be in Game of the Year? And I was like, it would. I'm gonna say that as a Nintendo fan, and it's not because of the Xbox tax that was mentioned. It's just because I think that there would have been so many more eyes on it. People generally are more neutral towards Nintendo. It's usually Xbox and PlayStation going at it.
Yeah.
So therefore, there were people probably arguing against this game and nitpicking and stuff. But if it was a Nintendo game, they'd be like, "Ah, it's a dumb Nintendo game," and it would have scored an 87, maybe even a 90, and that would have been it. And it may have made it into Game of the Year or some more awards. So I think that if it was made by Nintendo, it would have been, first of all, it would have been like an amazing game to have on the Switch on the go. It would have been amazing.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think.
Speaking of that, that's a very interesting topic. Do you like bringing that idea into like Zelda? Do you think Zelda's praise and Zelda's hype and Zelda's Game of the Year push and nomination is partly because it's a Zelda game and a Nintendo game. Because I asked someone this once, I was like, oh, do you think this person is also like really big into like PlayStation, Horizon, all that, and they're like, oh, Breath of the Wild is good, I enjoyed Breath of the Wild, but I think the reason Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are selling so much and reviewing so high is because they're Zelda. And I was like, no, Ultra Hand. So like, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Like, bring it back to Zelda, because all of us have played Zelda here. So,
I mean, I think there's two parts to that. I think because it's such a storied franchise, I think the people who sat, it was 120 reviews. I think they sat in that room and somebody said you can't not have Zelda on the list, and everyone's like, yeah, and they put it on the list. Like, I think that happened, but I also think the game deserves to be there because, I mean, Tears of the Kingdom, to be a sequel. And I know people had issues with the story, whatever.
Yeah.
I thought the story is phenomenal. I loved it.
I'm just very nitpicky as a hardcore Zelda fan. I was very, as a Xenoblade fan, of course. Yeah.
The story was great. I enjoyed it. And normally I genuinely don't pay attention to the story. I kind of like just skip. I don't skip through. I like have the gist. But I think that its name and it being a Nintendo game, it has something to do with it, but it still deserves it. I mean, clearly I like Nintendo.
Oh yeah.
So stuff there, but I think it's both. But if Xbox would have made Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, if PlayStation would have made it, I don't know.
Interesting.
As a new IP, not as like Zelda in the history. Like just as a new IP. I don't know if it even. I don't know if it scores this, but it being, hey, because when you look at and review Zelda, you also think of Minish Cap. You think of all of these Zeldas way back and how it compares to those, and there's just more there, more history there, and so you kind of like lean into that score a little bit more. I think.
Interesting. Yeah. What do you guys think?
Good point. Because it is kind of like what he said with like, if it would be a new IP, maybe it wouldn't be as massive, because this is like, oh, it's the new Zelda game. Like, everyone knows about it, everyone's playing it because it is the new Zelda game. But that's also like, I also think it's really good. It's not necessarily my type of game, but I can still see that it's a phenomenal game and it deserves to be here and stuff. But I do also think that a lot of eyes are on it because it is just the new big Zelda game, which is the iconic franchise that's been going for years and years. So
yeah,
no, I agree. I think there's something there that it is Zelda, and like, come on, like, it has to be there. It's like such a big name. But also, I mean, I can't really argue with that because the game was phenomenal too. So it would be a different story if it wasn't good. But it was amazing in like so many different ways, and especially in like just design. So
I think Tears of the Kingdom, for me, of course, I was seeing it as a longtime Zelda fan, but I was also seeing it as like someone who was not interested in Breath of the Wild initially. Like, when Breath of the Wild was like in its marketing stages as Zelda Wii U and all that, I was like, dude, this isn't Zelda, this is like so dumb, why are they making it open world? And then I played the game and I enjoyed it. So going into Tears of the Kingdom, my most like anticipated thing was like, what are they doing with the world and the changes and the sky and the underground and the arm abilities? And that was what blew me away with the game. All the interactions and the arm abilities, it just was Breath of the Wild, but like so much more. And to me, that's what made the game like leaps and bounds above so many other open world games. But I also feel like if there's like another like long running franchise, like I think there was like a Fallout 76 or something, that was like the Fallout game that everyone hated or something, right? Yeah, because like all the other Fallout games were like really good, and then that came out and that was like heavily criticized. So I think if Tears of the Kingdom actually did suck, if the arm abilities weren't good, if it was actually like not well implemented, I think that would also have taken effect on the reception, the reviews, the Game of the Year discussion, and all that. But yeah. Otherwise,
I mean, think about Mario Wonder. What about that one? I feel like that one just has so much history and stuff behind it too, and probably why it's on that list as well.
I think Mario Wonder is a good example because the new Super Mario Bros. Games were heavily criticized for being like just
the same thing.
The same thing, and then Mario Wonder was like really, really good. I still need to play Mario Wonder. Yeah.
Disappointed.
Yeah. Bring it over to my house, Shane. We'll play co-op.
With Wonder, I liked it, but I wouldn't have been mad if it wasn't in the category. If Hi-Fi Rush was there, or something like that,
Yeah.
I would have been okay with that. I didn't expect. I knew Wonder was gonna score high. I didn't expect to be like 92 game of the year. I thought Super Mario RPG was gonna be higher than it was. I thought Super Mario RPG was.
Hey, that game
like,
is so awesome, man.
Yeah.
I haven't played it. I haven't started. I'm gonna review it this week. I gotta start it like after I finish my PlayStation Portal video. But I thought that was gonna be really high, and Wonder was gonna be high, but not like game of the year high. I know Super Mario RPG wouldn't have made the cutoff, but that's what I just thought. And so it being there, I was like, 2 Nintendo titles in game of the year. All right. I mean, let's go.
Yeah. But yeah.
Honestly, actually, I was gonna say
Yeah.
Super Mario RPG. That would be actually a good one to put in that like list that should have been there, because that one is. I mean, it's obviously it's a remastered or not really remake or remaster, but that one was. It's so good, man.
Yeah.
That game is absolutely phenomenal.
I think they need to add a remaster and remake category, because
Yeah, I think
then
so,
like
Yeah.
Dead Space would have gotten more love, Resident Evil would have gotten more love, Mario RPG, if it had not missed the cutoff, it would have gotten in, and there's a lot of other.
Ocean.
Oh, Star Ocean, yeah, Star Ocean.
I'm like, what have we done?
Yeah. What other? I feel like there was other remaster remakes that came out this year, but I can't remember right now. But
There was the Metroid one. wasn't it also
yeah,
this
Metroid
year?
Prime.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid Collection.
94.
That's not even a remaster.
Just ports. Yeah.
Metroid Prime has a 94 on Metacritic.
One of the highest rated games of the year.
100 reviews. 94.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I
No,
also
that's
think a DLC category would have been nice, because
Yeah,
of
like
course
an expansion
Yeah.
one for the like
Yeah.
bigger
yeah,
ones.
because
They say, like, best
Cyberpunk got
ongoing,
nominated
that's
so
Fortnite.
many times.
Oh
Like,
my god.
yeah, Cyberpunk like what was it called? Phantom Liberty, right?
Yeah.
It got so many nominations, and I'm like, but that's just a DLC. But like, I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
Phantom Liberty, Future Redeemed. What's that? Separate Ways for Resident Evil
Oh yeah.
4.
Resident-
True.
Tales of Arise.
Here's my question. Is Xenoblade Future Redeemed, is that not DLC?
It is so it is wave 4 of the expansion pass. And so you know how Torna the Golden Country was sold separately as a physical? Future Redeemed
Yes.
wasn't. So Torna the Golden Country, you could play it like without buying Xenoblade 2. You couldn't do that for Future Redeemed.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, that made it more of a traditional DLC. But
Yeah.
I still feel like at playing the game, it felt like its own separate release, but just like
Did you
kind of
need a
half.
save file from Xenoblade 3 to play it?
Huh? You should what?
Did you need a save file from Xenoblade 3 to play it?
No, I don't think so. So if you bought like Xenoblade 3 plus the expansion pass, you could theoretically start with Future Redeemed. I think, yeah,
Okay.
you could. Yeah. Yeah.
Because Tales of Arise you couldn't. Tales of well,
Oh.
I think no, you could. It like
You
it
can,
assumes
but they
you, like, level
recommend it
65.
to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It like assumes you're level 65 and throws you into it, and it like tells you the basics over again.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it
yeah.
also is the rest of the story.
It's the
So
direct
you can-
sequel. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
You
like an
wouldn't want to
epilogue,
start.
so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Future
yeah,
Redeemed
DLC
is a
category.
prologue, but it has a lot of like story stuff that is like kind of gives context in 3. So if you play Future Redeemed first, it's kind of like you won't really understand what's happening. But
Yeah.
not like Torna, because Torna you could technically play before 2, but I also don't suggest doing that. But yeah, I just wish Future Redeemed got a physical version. That would have been so awesome. But
I just realized you said Xenoblade 2. Ugh.
yeah, auto attacking. Yeah.
Is auto attacking in Xenoblade 3? I promise
It is in all of them. Yeah.
I want it. I
Yeah.
don't want it.
Hey, but
No.
you're using your arts more often. I'll tell you that. You probably didn't use Narcipair Jelly in Xenoblade 2. You probably didn't stutter step in Xenoblade 2. Yeah.
I hated the combat, and I was
Yeah.
like, I heard this game is good. I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah.
And then I got to the you don't have the map thing, like it doesn't tell you where to go.
The
I was like,
navigation
nah.
does suck. Our Arcree is experiencing it right now. How do you like the navigation?
I haven't had any problems with it.
Just-
I kinda the compass is a bit weird,
Yeah,
as
it's
in like
weird.
I just got to in the beginning of chapter 2, you're like in the big field, you have to go to that first city.
Yeah.
And it was a bit weird, like I just knew that I had to go to the city because in the cutscene they tell you to go there. But if I literally only had the compass, I might have been a bit confused. But I'm only way too early in the game to really give my opinion on that.
Just wait till chapter 3. Chapter 3 has a part where the compass like actively goes against you and you're like,
God. Yeah. No, but I noticed that I was like... I noticed that I was like looking at the city and the compass was like, yeah, it's right in front of you. But then I would turn to the right and the compass would still be like, yeah, it's in front of you. But it wasn't.
It's weird.
So maybe later on it'll give me some problems.
Yeah.
But for now, not yet.
You know, a lot of things in Xenoblade 2 I forgive. And you know why? Is because that game, like that massive game, Xenoblade 2, was made by like a team of 50 people. It was like... most of Monolith Soft was already working on a definitive edition in 3 at that point, and then they're like, oh yeah, this small group of people and then some outsourced people will just throw together Xenoblade 2, please. Yeah.
What's the part of the game where Grandpa turns into a... Hey, that's like that's the very beginning?
Yeah.
That's like the end of chapter 1.
Stopped?
Yeah.
No. I'm trying to think, because then I met somebody.
Yeah.
I met a girl.
Yeah.
And like a tiger, I think.
Yes. Nia and
that's
Jomark,
the last thing I remember, but I'm
Okay.
pretty sure because it's like a forest area. I'm pretty sure
that's basically where Archery is.
Yeah, I'm like a little bit further
like,
than that.
Yeah. That's fine.
Just cut it.
It was to Xenoblade 2. It
Yes.
was...
No. I was like...
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's how far I remember making. But this was like 2019.
Okay.
Like 2020.
Yeah.
So
it's a weird combat system. It is that's a whole nother discussion for another time, because like Xenoblade 2 is indeed a video game. But
the waifus are cool. So.
Oh yeah, the
waifus are awesome.
Yeah, that's what got it to 3 million copies sold. What else? Just like Baldur's Gate and its questionable marketing.
The bear.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate bears.
Oh wow.
But
that was so weird.
Yeah, I find that very funny. But
can I rant about a category?
Oh yes, please. I was actually gonna go into the other categories, but yeah, please.
I'm not like a big fighting game community guy. Like I posted a tournament on my channel and stuff like that. But the fighting game category was just, they just threw random stuff in it. There was a game in there that was like a 64. And I was like,
is that
what?
the Rock Gods one?
I think, was it Rock Gods?
God
it was
of
the
Rock
Rock
or
Gods or the
something.
one on the far right. I can't remember. But I was very uncomfortable because I was like, what are we doing?
Yeah, someone I was talking to yesterday said that Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl shouldn't have been on there either, which is like...
But they act like other fighting games didn't come out this year. Or they can use an ongoing... I guess, didn't they use Brawlhalla like last year and they didn't like that? The people were like mad about that?
Yeah.
But like, Multiversus was out. And Multiversus is like, okay, it's dead. But also, at the time, it was fine.
Didn't Multiverse scam everyone as well?
They did. They did.
Did Guilty Gear come out this year?
Guilty Gear was last year.
Sure.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say like Guilty Gear was also an amazing like.
Oh, you played a bit of that, right, Shane?
Yeah, that was fun.
I think.
What else came out? I know the big ones are Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, and then Tekken is next year.
Tekken's next year.
Yeah.
Next year is going to be Project L from the League of Legends team.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know if you guys have ever played in the League of Legends like side game. Like Mage Seeker is a really cool game if you want to play on Switch. It's also an indie game. I got to meet that team at PAX as well, but they're great, and that game is great, and that's maybe like a side, like they just like, hey, here's a side story, just pitch your idea type thing, and they do that a lot, and because they want to expand the IP beyond League of Legends, and the fighting game, a lot of people are excited about it because they know that it's going to get the support that Multiversus should have got, but it's going to follow the same formula. I think it is free to play, but League of Legends has so many characters, they have a lot of like support for DLC and things like that, and like this character and stuff like that. So it's like I don't know if you guys ever played Dragon Ball Fighters with the tag team system. It's like that. Or Guilty Gear. What's the Guilty Gear with tag team? Stripe has tag team, I think. I don't know. But yeah, so point is, the category for fighting was like that pissed me off. That I was like, why is like they just picked
lots of
Mortal
snubs,
Kombat, Street Fighter, and then random games. Like, oh, what are you doing?
Yeah. I'm not into fighting games at all, but when I looked at this category, it was also like, okay, they clearly had 2 games, and besides that, we're just like, take whatever released this year, that's fine.
Yeah,
I'm
just glad they got 6 Street Fighter in there and didn't just like completely ignore that.
You guys remember when Sifu was nominated for this category last year?
Oh my god.
It was.
Yeah, it was.
That's really weird.
Yeah. But
I bet that team was like, oh,
thanks.
Oh, we're a fighting game now, I guess.
Thanks. Yeah, but I sort of felt the same way with action game, because I personally think that Lies of P and Final Fantasy 16 would have fit better in action, and that would have freed up space for Octopath 2 in Best RPG, because that was insanely massively snubbed, and then some other game that they could have put in, I don't know, like if they cared enough to put Xenoblade, they could have put it in there, but I don't know. But I think I was assuming Lies of P would have been an action game instead of RPG, because like what was there? It was like Remnant 2.
Action game has the big standout to me this year. It's like Dead Island 2.
Yeah.
Because I remember that game coming out and everyone was like, it's okay. Like,
it was fun. Like I liked it, but it wasn't like I wasn't there like, oh yeah, this is like game of the year. Like everyone needs to play it. No, it's more like, oh yeah, like if you like zombie games, you'll like this.
Yeah. I do feel like Lies of P or Final Fantasy could have been.
I can't blame you anymore. There's too many of them.
Yeah, it's oversaturated.
Did anybody play Ghost Runner 2? I didn't even know that released this year. I saw the marketing for it, but I didn't see the.
I knew it
one
existed, trailer, yeah.
But that's because I played the first game, so I just knew that it was a thing, but I didn't even know it came out already.
Yeah.
If you like the first game, the second game is basically better in every way. It just expands on that and just. It's just good. It's just good.
Yeah. I played the first game, but I wasn't the biggest fan of it, so that's why I wasn't really following 2 either.
It's basically like, just basically let's take the same thing and just make everything slightly better and add a cool ass motorcycle.
But
that was good.
I want to talk about action adventure real quick, because one game we somehow have not talked about. We talked about basically every single game, but we haven't talked about Spider-Man. I know all 4 of us have played Spider-Man, and all 4 of us loved it. So like, yeah, I think for action adventure, I think Tears of the Kingdom is taking it, but Spider-Man has a really good shot, because like personally, like Spider-Man had a lot of recycled stuff from the first game. Same world, same kind of combat stuff, like same swinging styles, but the story was amazing, and the things that they like added gameplay wise and progression wise was actually really cool. And like I think this is like the PS5 showcase with the fast travel and everything. So like, what are your guys' thoughts on Spider-Man?
I used fast travel for the first time today. I was like, wow, this is fast.
Yeah.
I don't think I used a single time, but I really fucking love that game. It's really good.
It's crazy that they added that, but like you don't want to fast travel in that game just because of how amazing that wingsuit is.
Especially with how fast they made the swinging as well. Like the base is probably the same as in the first game, but it's so much faster, and the momentum is such a bigger factor in it as well. Like, I feel like they improved on basically everything in it, even if it uses some of the same foundations.
Yeah, my big thing was like from the first Spider-Man game, the thing I didn't like was there's a lot of like side content that you had to do, and a lot of it was like, in my opinion, like not that fun, but you could skip it. Here they added like, they didn't overbear you, but like a bunch of like samey side quests. Like they all like, I would say, have a good reason to be like actually played, and they all had like a nice conclusion to them, or they gave you something nice. And I liked how it didn't like overwhelm you.
The rewards were really good because it gave you those tokens, and the tokens were used to like expand your like stats and your health and your armor and all that. That was good. Yeah, that was a big highlight of the game. Obviously the story was amazing. Like I've been a huge Spider-Man fan since I was young, so like Spider-Man is one of my favorite things ever. So seeing how they did Venom and the symbiote was amazing. I think my favorite thing about the story was the Harry, Peter, MJ dynamic, because I'm a huge Raimi fan with the Raimi trilogy, so that was really well done.
Yeah, basically the same boat as you. Like, also grew up
Yeah.
with those movies, with the PS2 game as well. This, I really loved it, story-wise. Was really, really good.
Yeah.
I liked how they did all the arcs.
I know
Bringing
it's,
Miles
yeah.
into it as well.
Oh yeah,
was
Miles'
really nice.
yeah.
story was good with Martin Lee and all that, because a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the big question was, how is Miles gonna be in this game? Like, what's he gonna do? And he had a lot to do in there, so that was nice. It's
Yeah,
it's
I
your
really
game of the
like
year, right,
Mr.
Arcree?
Negative thing. Yeah, from the list that there is, this is definitely Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I really,
think
really like that game.
I'm not mad.
we all played it, right?
Yes.
we all
Yeah.
played it. Yeah. So like, there's one point in the game. I don't know if we're doing spoilers or not, but like,
I can
at
give
a
a
certain
quick
point.
warning, spoiler. But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
you can talk.
But like, I would say after that part when you fight like the Doctor and his like form, right, of like that monster, lizard monster, or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
from that point, I think the game never gave me a chance just to be like, okay, you can go back doing side stuff, because like I was just so invested, and it just somehow everything just got higher and higher
Just
and higher in terms
escalating.
of just like how intense and everything was going. Where I was like, this is freaking crazy,
Yeah.
and like which is actually opposed to like actually with FF16, where like things were like crazy high
Oh,
and crazy
God.
low, right?
Oh,
And then
the
with
pacing
Spider-Man,
of 16
yeah.
was crazy. Like,
That's actually that's what I want to say. Actually, it was the pacing on Spider-Man was just like, I just never wanted to put it down during that main campaign, and I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. And then when it ends, I was like, oh damn, sad now.
yeah, for 16 personally, like I enjoyed the game, but what I was always looking forward to was like, oh, when is that next icon battle gonna happen? When is the next like big giant battle gonna happen? The stuff in between, I don't really remember a lot of it because it was kind of forgettable to me. But like compared to Spider-Man, like even the stuff in the middle, like it had really good character stuff, really good like Spider-Man stuff happening, and it was really engaging throughout the game. But like I still enjoyed 16. 16 was still fun throughout, but like it had some parts where I'm just like, can we get to the good part? But yeah.
I think one of the cool things about Spider-Man is like, and I think this is like in 1 and Miles Morales, but when they kind of like give you that moment where they don't even tell you your next objective, it's like, hey, you can like take a breather because that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then you may swing for like 5 minutes, may do like a random thing, and I'm like, all right, cool, now let's get back into it. Like,
Yeah.
I appreciate that breather, but I always want to go like right back into it.
Yeah.
I liked a lot of things, and I'm a huge Spider-Man fan as well. I actually played Miles Morales first.
Okay.
And then I played 1. So my friend worked at Sony at the time where I bought my PS5, so he like gifted me the Miles Morales.
Cool.
And then I just like paid the extra, I think it's like a $20 thing if you went back and got remastered for
Yeah,
PS5.
Yeah.
So I did that, and so to me, Miles Morales and his combat, and that was like the standard.
Oh,
and going
okay.
back to 1, I was like, I don't like this combat as much because I can't shoot electricity. So
Yeah.
when I played 2, and you like hit that moment in the beginning of the game where the robot arms come out,
Yeah.
and you can like use that second scroll wheel, I was like,
That was great, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was amazing that they could find a way to make Peter feel as powerful and as fun to play before the symbiote
Yeah.
as Miles. That was pretty cool.
That was
Yeah.
cool. and I
Every
think-
game was
yeah.
definitely like a step up combat wise. Like the first game had a good foundation, then Miles added the Venom powers, and then Peter added with the arms and everything. I feel like every game is like a step up.
And I like how the gadgets were used in combat as well. I think I ended up using the gadgets more in combat than I did in any of the other ones. What?
Yeah.
You kind of have to.
Yeah,
I
you
think
do
they made the
have to,
difficulty
yes.
a little bit harder. I felt the game was a little bit hard, not like impossible. I just felt like it was a little bit harder because it was a sequel.
Yeah.
And kind of with Breath of the
Yeah.
Wild. I mean, Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom was a
Oh
little
my
bit
god.
harder.
Tears of the
than
Kingdom was
Breath of the
so
Wild.
hard in the beginning. Like me and Shane were talking about this. Like we were getting absolutely destroyed. And Shane, it was funny. Shane realized this and he didn't do any of the dungeons in Tears of the Kingdom. He was like 50 hours in. I was like, oh, how many of the sages have you gotten? How many of the dungeons? He's like, no, I'm at like shrine 80. And I'm like, he's like, I'm just trying to get myself so strong because the enemies are so crazy. Yeah. Like Tears of the Kingdom was weird because in the beginning I felt so weak. I could not do anything until I fused something really powerful or I had like really good gear. Like that was kind of a nitpick I had with it. I was like, you have to be either ultra strong or you have to be like really good with the combat. But that was just
a test to the that's a test to the that attests to the world and kind of where he was at in that moment. And so I liked it because I was like, with Breath of the Wild, of course we woke up, we were like fresh out, we was ready to hit the streets, do what we got to do. But with Tears of the Kingdom, it was like you're supposed to be experienced. You are supposed to be that guy at this point.
Yeah.
And the world is falling apart again.
Yeah.
And this time it's a little like the hands, yo, freaked me out.
Yeah.
Come out the ground. I was
yeah.
like, what's going on?
That actually scared me the first time I saw that. I was like, what?
Nisha, you were here when I first encountered them. I think while I was on Discord, I started screaming. Like, what is this?
Yeah. It was completely out of nowhere. I think it was scarier than any of the Guardians in Breath of the Wild, I think. Yeah, that was an experience I'll never forget. But yeah, I love how Tears of the Kingdom was like, there's so many different ways to approach a combat scenario. Like there was the one I'll never forget is it was like Central Hyrule Skyview Tower. It's the one that was in the previews, and everyone was like, it was like the boss Bokoblin and a bunch of other Bokoblins like patrolling that. And I could not for the life of me like figure out how to do that. But until I was trying to like approach it from the front and like recall the spike ball and like do all this weird stuff. But then somehow, I don't know how, but I like flew inside with like a hot air balloon, and I got inside the Skyview Tower, activated the Skyview Tower, and then I destroyed all the enemies from inside by like throwing, what's that? Like the gemstones, like topazes and sapphires and all that. So it was a very creative like way to tackle a lot of the problems you find in that game. Yeah. But yeah, something about Spider-Man real quick was Shane and I were talking about how the boss fights in that game were significantly more tough than we thought they were going to be. Like Kraven, the Peter fight, all that stuff, it was really difficult, but it was fun. Martin Lee. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
I was like, why is there 3 health bars? What?
Yeah. Yeah. It had so many phases. Yeah. It was crazy. Yeah.
I think they also introduced like new what threw me off is they introduced like, you know, like you have to dodge heat in the blue ring, and then like you have to block in the red. It's like it just like threw it right in the middle of the boss fight. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and then they added the parry as well, so it's like another thing.
Yeah, I would say that would be like one thing I didn't like about it was I wish they introduced this stuff like during the regular gameplay, so that way like I could get used to it and then do it in the boss fights. But yeah, that was the boss fights were, I love them because I'm a huge Souls fan and I fucking love those. But like, yeah, that was hard. that was like they're definitely much tougher than I thought they would be.
I like that they threw it in randomly because it kept you like. I like when games teach you something new throughout the entire game. I think I was watching Player Essence talk about Xenoblade 3, and he was talking about how throughout the entire.
I was just about to say Xenoblade. You were like, oh, I like when games teach you things throughout the game, and I was like, Xenoblade 2 and 3 do that a lot. Yeah.
Hey, I will play Persona Tactics for you. I will do that.
Okay. All right. Oh. Yeah. But yeah, OJ is huge on Xenoblade, and he's a huge like Xenoblade supporter.
He makes me want to play it.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, no.
Yeah.
That's Nishan for me.
Yeah.
He somehow convinced me to get all 3 games, but I only
haven't played them yet.
You got Torna before anything. You're like, hey, look at this. I was like, how do you have that? Do you guys think there was any other like major snubs at the Game Awards this year?
Gollum.
Oh yeah, Gollum and Skull Island, best games. Yeah. Any other?
Octopath, from what I've heard, but we already mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
Besides that,
I think Sea of Stars should have been the game of the year.
You think so? Did you play it, Saiyaran?
Yeah, Sea of Stars is awesome.
Yeah, I never talked about it, but yeah, Sea of Stars was really, really good. I don't think it really compares to Chrono Trigger, which kind of. I don't know. I have a video planned talking about like the Chrono Trigger comparison, but
what's the other Chrono one? Chrono Cross? Is that the one they just released the other year?
Chrono Cross was like PS1, but then Chained Echoes was also another game, which was actually eligible for this year.
Re-released
yeah, it was Chrono Cross.
Okay, I hate that game because I played it and I was like, "There's no instructions. How do I even fight?" I didn't know. I did nothing, and I was like, "All right, let me just put this down." It's still on my Switch. Download it.
One of me and Arkery's friends, he likes Chrono Cross, but he was telling us it is one of the weirdest RPGs you'll ever play. Mac was saying that, Arkery. It's one of the weirdest RPGs ever.
About that.
Yeah, but
it's.
I think Octopath was really snubbed, and I think that's just Game Awards JRPG kind of thing. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
Tales of Arise won like back in 2021 for best RPG, but I feel like if it's not like a big Persona 5 game, then it's not gonna be like really there or
true.
judged as fairly, because I have a lot to say about Xenoblade losing best score in music, but I have an entire video on that, but whatever.
I think a lot of people will be upset over Hogwarts Legacy not appearing anywhere on that list. I mean, I personally didn't play it, but I know that was like probably a lot of people's favorite
They
game.
didn't want the drama. They have to appease advertisers.
Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure a lot of
Makes
people would have loved that game. Like, I'm pretty sure that's a big game for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
I enjoyed it. I'm actually 97% finished with the game. I just haven't done the last. I think it's like I think I'm like halfway through the last dungeon where you fight the final and conclude everything. I really enjoyed that game, but it didn't do anything like new to where I'm like it should be game of the year. Because people are talking about game of the year, I'm like no. But for another category like action adventure, I think it did a great job with its world and the things you could do. You could capture the monsters if you wanted. You could just go through and learn all these different spells and become like, you know, whatever. There was no Quidditch, but there's a separate Quidditch game that you know they're dropping. So there was a lot that you could do, and if it was an action adventure category, I wouldn't be mad at it. But I don't think that this game of the year snub people are talking about, I'm like, it scored like an 83. Like let's simmer down. That's like 12 games that
it's another Starfield situation.
There's just too many good games this year that are
this year was really fucking insane, because you can talk about Final Fantasy 16 should have been nominated, or this should have been nominated, or that. And it's like all the nominations that are there are deserving to be there, but there's also this whole other list of games that are also deserving to be there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, I think that's what it's called, or something like that. I heard that's a really good game as well.
I heard about that as well.
Dave the Diver shouldn't be an indie.
Yeah.
Oh, apparently, I heard about that as
It's
well.
funny because it seems that people are nominating it for indie just because of how it looks.
Yes.
Yeah, then
And
like
the developer said it's not an indie.
yeah.
Which is funny.
Advance Wars Reboot Camp should be best indie game then.
Think so?
No, I'm just saying just because of how it looks, then Advance Wars should be in there or something. F-Zero 99 should be in there. Speaking of, F-Zero 99 should have been in Best Racing, because I've heard that game was like really, really good. I've heard a lot of people enjoy it.
I had fun with it when I played it. I don't know. I think when I'm looking at racing, I played Forza because Ubisoft was gracious enough to give me a code. And so I played it and I really enjoyed it. I'm not the best at racing games. Or it's not Forza, I'm sorry, The Crew. I got that.
I was like,
so
Ubisoft.
Forza, I think Forza scored like mid 80s. I don't know what The Crew scored, but just making content, that community, that racing community, which I'm gonna be honest, the racing game community, least problematic gaming community across the board. I don't hear anything out of them. They don't argue.
Like, don't really hear about them.
Oh, Shane and I definitely know someone who's huge on racing games, like Gran Turismo, Forza. That's all. Like that's his thing.
I don't even see the drama, you know.
Yeah.
I think the only drama we got was from that. What's the one that PlayStation has? Gran Turismo. They had some issues with like
live service and DRM and all that. Yeah.
But no, racing fans are eating good though. Like
yeah. There's another one. Is it F123? It might. No, it's iRacing. iRacing. A lot of people talk about that one, but I think they're dropping their own standalone console-esque game next year, and I think that one's going to take a lot of work. A lot of people in that community like that game. But with sports racing, I guess there's just not enough sports and racing games to have separate categories.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, you got 2K and Madden, even though those games are roster updates. But
Mario Kart DLC should have been there.
That would have been a very interesting thing if they put it in there. I would have been like,
I would have voted for it. Mario Kart DLC was awesome, actually. Like they did a lot to like.
They did a great job.
They breathed a lot of second life into Mario Kart 8 with that DLC. Let's see what else is here. Okay, so I guess we can slowly start closing out here. But before we do that, I want to know, because there is the category for most anticipated games, and I just found it funny that like I think a lot of those games deserve to be there, but like where is Silk Song, where is Persona 3 Reload, and I want to know like what are your guys' most anticipated games for 2024 and beyond?
Brother, Silk Song is never coming out.
Yeah.
They gave Xbox gave them money to put them inside of their showcase to say these are games coming out the next year, and they still didn't.
Yeah. Sad.
My most anticipated game, honestly, is the indie games, Plucky Squire. I really wanna play
that game looks good. That game looks really good.
I tweet Devolver Digital all the time, like, drop the release date, bucko. Like, I want to play that.
That game looks really, really fun. I'm looking forward to that. I wonder what yours is, Arcry. I wonder what you're most anticipated.
I wonder. Definitely not Persona 3 Reload remake of the best game ever made.
Yeah.
But
Did that not already come out?
No, that's coming out in February 2nd. Persona 3.
So what they did this year?
Persona 3
This
Portable.
year was Persona. Yeah, that was a port of
Yeah.
the PSP game.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
It's
It
a
was
bit-
a remake. Yeah.
It's a bit
February,
confusing.
man.
I'm so confused. I played Persona 5. I like Persona 5 a lot.
Yeah.
Someone told me it was 100 hours and I stopped playing it. I was like, no.
Persona
It is-
3 should only be like 50 to 60.
Yeah. It's a
If
little
they stick
shorter.
around the same time of the
That's-
original. So that's better, but
Is it
it's
the same
still
combat?
very
I
long.
really like Persona 5's combat.
Yes.
It
I didn't
is,
care
That's
about the
kind
Persona 5
of
thing. I was
that's
like, I
kind
don't
of the thing with the Persona 3 remake, because the original Persona 3 had turn-based combat, but you couldn't control your party members. So you could only control yourself, and then you could like set the other character to, oh, you do support spells, you do offensive spells. But a lot of people, of course, don't like that the game hasn't aged that well, so now they're remaking it with the combat from 5, basically.
Yeah.
But they're also adding a lot of stuff to it. Because a lot of people say that 5 is too easy and that you have like the showtime attacks that are really broken and stuff.
Yeah.
And 3 kind of tones it down, I guess, to be more balanced and stuff.
Yeah. Arcry played the game at Gamescom.
True, I did
Yeah.
play the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. It was good. I have a small video on it. But it's basically just, it plays like Persona 5.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
I'm super
I mean,
hyped for
put
it.
it simply.
what you wanted? Is that what you wanted, basically? Is like a more Persona
Yeah.
5?
Because Persona 3 is my favorite purely story characters-wise, but 5 is without a doubt better gameplay-wise. So to have 3, like the best story, best characters, but it looks as good, if not better, than 5, and it plays also as good, if not better,
Yeah.
because of course it's been a few years. So they could iron out some of the like small things, make it smoother, so basically all that I wanted.
Yeah.
They're doing even more because they're like expanding on the story and giving characters that didn't get enough screen time some extra screen time, more backstory, so
Yeah.
Persona 3 Reload looks really good.
For
It should have
me,
been on this list.
Yeah, it should have.
But I guess Geoff Keighley is more hyped for Star Wars Outlaws.
Yeah.
So,
I'm hyped for that game. I mean, come on, Star Wars.
One thing about Persona 3 is the reason I didn't play, and I was telling Arcry about this, is there's this thing in that game called Tartarus, and it's like you have to like climb the floors of Tartarus every like few play sessions. You have to go in there and like continue going up there. It's like, I don't know how far you got into Persona 5, Saiyaran, but it's kind of like Mementos, but it's really long. And when I saw a Let's Play of Persona 3, I was like, I don't want to do this Tartarus crap. This looks so boring, and it looks actually fun in Reload. It looks like a lot of fun to just do Tartarus and Reload. So that's what's getting me really excited. And of course, just playing Persona 3 for the first time because I never played it myself. But yeah. February, like, yeah, Shane was saying February is going to be insane for us JRPG fans because Grand Blue, Persona 3, Final Fantasy 7, Rebirth,
Probably Elden Ring DLC.
Maybe Elden Ring DLC.
Like
It's
a
gonna
Dragon is
Yeah.
not February, but it's
Oh
like the
my
last day of January, I think. So that's also
That's,
That's next to Grand Blue,
so-
right? They release the same day as Grand Blue.
So Persona's releasing a day after Grand Blue, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, the people who made Persona, they made another game called starts with an M.
Oh, Metaphor Read Fantasio. I was gonna talk about that. Yeah, that's my
Yeah.
most anticipated game because like that game is something that has been in the works for like 7-8 years now, plus more than that, because when Persona 5 came out in Japan, they released like, hey, the like developers of the mainline Persona games are making a new studio in Atlas called Studio Zero, and they're making a game called Project Refantasy. And we heard nothing for 7 years until the freaking Xbox show. Of all shows, we see it at the Xbox show, and it looks amazing. Like, it looks like a Persona and SMT game, but with like a fantasy setting, with like high fantasy like characters and all that. The art style, the aesthetic, all that just looks amazing. I just want to see more of it. I'm very, very hyped for that game. That's probably like next to Persona 3 and Final Fantasy 7. That's my most hyped. So, yeah.
Are you gonna remake before Rebirth?
No, I don't. I want to play Final Fantasy 7 OG. I want to do that at least because I never got to the end. It's yeah. I have my silly reasons for never completing it, but I will. I'm trying to at least play Final Fantasy 7 OG before Rebirth. Oh, and Intermission. I want to play the Intermission DLC because I never played. Intermission. Yeah, but those games I'm excited for. Switch 2 is probably, maybe, we'll see if that comes out next year. If it is, then just please, for the love of God, Metroid Prime 4, please, please, please. I have waited so long for something, just a morsel of information. Please, Metroid Prime 4.
Oh, you're getting Mario Wonder 2, and you'll be happy.
Yeah, I know there's no Zelda next year, probably no Monolith Soft game next year. Just Retro Studios, please give me Metroid Prime 4. I've waited for so long.
Thousand Year Door. Also, that Peach game looks pretty sick.
Yeah, Princess Peach Showtime looks pretty. Yeah, Showtime. Yeah. Shane, what are you looking forward to outside of Elden Ring DLC?
Yeah, I mean that would be my main thing. But outside of that, I'm really excited for Yakuza 8 or Infinite Wealth. I'm not that big into JRPGs, but I love Yakuza, and I played 7, and it was amazing. I loved it, and I just cannot wait for 8, and it's like wacky, like just stuff with it. And apparently, like they took a I think Yakuza 7, a lot of the stuff is just based off of Persona 5, and so they also, I guess, decided to take the time too, because now apparently this new one's gonna be 100 hours. So I can't wait to lose my life for the next month.
Imagine only playing JRPGs, then you're fine, because then you can just like, no, you just play one video game for like 2 months straight. So I mean,
that's not so hard to, because I love changing or the variety aspect of like games. So
I can dump 100 hours into a game. Like I don't think that's impossible. Like Tears of the Kingdom, I have like 60, I think. Like I can dump those hours. I can do that. But like it has to be that level of amazing for me to do it. Street Fighter 6, I have 40 hours. That's a fighting game. You don't really play fighting games for that long. 40 hours into, like, I have hours into games, but like when we talk about 100, I'm like, you have to keep my attention. It has to be amazing for 100. Like that's that's a lot.
I think for me, what ruined me was, what ruined me was Assassin's Creed, the new ones, the RPG ones. Oh my god. Those
Mirage was good. Mirage was short, sweet to the point.
But Valhalla, that 100 hours of that killed me. That killed me for long games. I was like, I don't want to play any long games ever again.
I remember Arcry, you never even tried Mirage, right? You're like, no,
I'm done with Assassin's Creed. I have a history with that franchise.
You didn't like Mirage?
Valhalla, I'm like, never again.
You played Valhalla?
Yeah, sadly.
Did you beat it?
Sadly.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, no. I just, I'll be honest with you, after beating it, thinking about it, I'm just like, it was a waste of time, at least in my opinion. I'm just upset with that.
The stacking the rocks. It's all about stacking the rocks.
That's side content. There's a side content in the game where you just stack rocks. That's the level we got to in Assassin's Creed, where we stack rocks. So it's just and they have a new one, right, which takes place in Japan, which I'm
excited by the same team as Valhalla, so it's gonna be another 100 hours.
Yeah, 100 hours. Where are we stacking like shurikens, I guess.
But yeah, before we officially close out, I want to ask your guys' general thoughts on the Game Awards. There's a lot of, I mean, it's just a fun time to like enjoy and celebrate games, but like, what are your thoughts on the show that Geoff puts on? Is it like a fun thing? Is there like, what do you feel about the controversy, if there is any, or like about the snubs, or just your general thoughts? I want to get all of your guys' opinions on that.
Personally, I like them, and I like them. It's a fun thing. I think it's a great time where we can, like, as a community, sit down and focus in on one thing, talk about the industry, show love to these developers whose faces we don't see. Like, you may hear about, this developer, or like Kojima. I know what Kojima looks like, because like I've seen he gets in front of the camera, but there's a lot of developers you may hear their name You may hear how legendary they are. You may see the name in the credits, but you never see them.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great thing like that. But also, I'm on the side of, if I'm not planning to do it myself, I'm not going to complain about it. I'm not ever planning to do a TGAs. I may do at most in my head, as far as my career in games, I would love to like host an indie game of the year type thing, because I love indie games. But in no way, shape, form, or fashion do I plan on putting on something like this in a theater with all these advertisers, people running on stage, Bill Clinton's rabbi.
Oh no! I hope for Geoff's safety after Gamescom. I hope he's safe.
That was crazy. Somebody else. I was like, come on.
And I felt so sad for him because his reaction was like disappointed. He was like, I'm really sad that something like this had to happen. So I hope something like that doesn't ruin the show.
I just don't get that it happened again at Gamescom.
Yeah.
At Gamescom, someone else came on stage again. Like, you would think that you would up your security, but no.
It's just hard because like there's so many people, and I'm guessing they're trying to, but
no, they gotta lock that down.
It's making us gamers look bad.
Horrible. Like heathens. But no, I think like I said, if I don't plan on doing it, I can criticize it too much. I have a fun time with it. It is kind of long, and I want a remake remaster section, and I'm okay with the reveals. I'm okay with the big stuff. I mean, last year I think they had like 30 million people watch. I know it was like a ridiculous number. I streamed it live with some friends. Like, it's fun. It's just, to me, it's just pure fun. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and ever put it like on the badge like this game was game of the year. Like, because if it's good, like I would recommend Bayonetta Origins just like I would recommend Tears of the Kingdom, and those are two, vastly different games with vastly different scores. So to me, I'm just gonna recommend a game if I like the game, which is why personally I don't even score games. I just say I'll recommend it or not recommend it, or tell you wait for a sale.
Yeah, that's the best kind of rating. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I've been watching like Game Awards for a while now, and I think they came a long way from the Spike days, when they used to stream it on that. And like for me, like, I mean, I love the show that Geoff puts on, and I love it even more so because like the fact that we're having this conversation right now and we see all of this happening on media and all that, like I like it. Like, I'm glad, like, even if we're fighting over like Starfield or whatever, right? It doesn't matter. I'm just glad that we can talk about these things, and it's good too because like even if some of these games don't win anything, right? The fact that they're shown here is great because it gets more people to play them, which means they'll probably make more of these, and I mean, I'm really excited for it. I just hope that with the whole GTA 6 thing doesn't like overwhelm the audience too much with the everyone spamming GTA on the Twitch chat and stuff, but I think it's great. I think we're gonna get great. They always do good like new announcements. I mean, last time we got a console announcement, right? Like for Series X, like a while back.
2019 we got Series X.
So we're gonna get great announcements. We're gonna see developers and celebrate the awards. So I think overall it's a great time, and it's a great way to end the year.
What did you just think of Saiyaran?
I say if the Switch 2 is announced, they're not gonna do it. What if?
Oh my god, no! I'm not ready for that. I'm not.
Maybe they would tease it, but I don't think they would announce it.
I can already imagine like Geoff Keighley's smug face as he gets to announce that.
Oh god.
Oh dude, he's gonna have the biggest smug face with GTA 6. I think it's gonna be shown there, and I think he's gonna.
He's gonna have a better. It's gonna feel better than announcing Elden Ring because he had a really. he felt so good announcing Elden Ring at Summer Games Fest. Yeah,
I wonder if it's gonna be there because Rockstar doesn't really show up at events. I remember with Red Dead Redemption 2, they literally just like tweeted out a logo when the internet exploded. So part of me thinks that they might just reveal it like the day before or something.
Oh, okay.
To like surprise everyone, because no matter where they're gonna show GTA 6, people will know about it.
They don't even have to market it; it's already won.
Yeah, exactly.
It's marketed stuff. I've never played GTA. I'm gonna be honest. So.
Neither have I. I borrowed GTA 4 from a friend, but I never completed it.
I think me and Nishan have a similar friend that just always has to tell him how popular GTA
Oh my god, it's so funny. Every time like GTA 6 comes out, he's like, "Hey, did you know GTA as a franchise is more popular than Zelda, Mario, and Call of Duty combined?" I'm like, whoa, thank you for blowing my mind. I never knew that.
Insane.
Yeah. But yeah, Archery, what are your thoughts on Geoff's show and stuff?
I think it's always fun. Maybe it goes on a bit too long. I hope it doesn't go too long for this year, because for some reason Geoff decided to do it at like 2 a.m. my time.
Yeah.
But it's always really fun to watch, so I might still like figure out a way to watch it. Because, I don't know, it's just everyone is talking about the same thing, everyone is excited to watch it. Sometimes people get salty, but because I'm not that interested in like who wins, who loses. I just think it's fun to see like last year the Xenoblade community over best score. And a great time to quick have a breakdown.
Oh god.
So, I just think it's fun. Even like some games get snubbed and the nominations might not be perfect, the winners might not be perfect, but it's fun. So
it's a good
I don't
time.
really care about like, who wins necessarily.
Yeah, same for me. It's usually fun. It is sometimes annoying when there are snubs or some game which deserves to win doesn't get to win, but in the end, like Shane said, we get to have conversations like this. So in the end, it's all in good fun. And yeah, and like we all talked about, this year was truly like massive and monumental for games and game releases. So I think that's a really big testament to the amazing year that 2023 is. Before we like officially close out and like give like closing statements from all of us here, I just want to say Dylan from Lunatoons was gonna be a part of this, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. But he's got like a video like a video segment that I asked him to send in because he did play Baldur's Gate unlike us. So he's going to talk a little bit about Baldur's Gate and Spider-Man, what he thought about his game. So that's going to go right here.
Hey, what's up guys? Lunatoons here. I was originally going to be on the podcast today, but scheduling conflicts, got busy, just didn't work out. It really sucks, but Nishquick did want me to kind of send in a pre-recorded clip, my thoughts on the Game of the Year nominations. So I'm going to go ahead and do that here for you guys. I'll try to make it short, sweet, to the point. Let's take a look at the Game of the Year nominations. Obviously, Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Spider-Man, RE4 Remake, Mario Bros. Wonder, and Tears of the Kingdom. Now, of this list, there are 2 games I've not played, Mario Bros. Wonder and Alan Wake 2. Now, Mario Bros. 2D Mario games have just really never spoken to me all that much for whatever reason, but I do think this belongs here. It seemed like a really high quality release. It scored really well critically and from audience reception, so I definitely think it belongs. And I also don't want to devalue the 2D platformer. You know, I am happy to see Mario Bros. Get the nomination the same way that I was to see Metroid Dread get the nomination a few years back. It's just good to see like a simple 2D game that is more focused on fun than, big expansive narratives, right? So I'm just happy to see it here for those reasons. Also, I just heard it's a really, really great game. Now, Alan Wake 2, I'm working towards this one. I'm currently going through Control. I will play Alan Wake 1 and then I'm going to jump into Alan Wake 2. And based off of what I played with Control, this is very much a Lunatoons game. This is a game that I think is really going to speak to me whenever I do get around to it, to the point where I think once I've played it, it may very well become my Game of the Year for 2023. That is yet to be seen, but from what I've seen and heard, oh my gosh, this game looks like it's right up my alley. So very excited to get to it. Regretful that I've not been able to so far. Of the other candidates here, I'll start with Baldur's Gate 3. I have put in maybe 12 hours to Baldur's Gate 3 along with my wife. We're playing split screen co-op every step of the way, and 12 hours, that's just scratching the surface for a game like Baldur's Gate 3 that is hundreds of hours of content, but I played enough to form some opinions and to see its quality, right? I think the biggest thing that people praise it for is its flexibility, its ability to instill that feeling that if you can think it, you can do it. Visually, I think the game looks really good. Narrative-wise, I'm not deep enough to really make a hard stance on the narrative, how good it is. So far, it's fine, but like I said, we're so early in, as in the grand scheme of things. Combat-wise, it is less turn-based and more tactical. style of combat. And high ground matters. You can take buff potions. There are so many spells that do a variety of different things, not just deal damage, but you can affect the environment in ways that maybe you didn't think you could, but then you experiment, you test things out, and it all works. You can use a telekinesis spell to pick up a jar full of oil. You throw it at the enemy, and then you use a fire spell. It ignites them all on fire, does crazy damage, right? Little things like that, and there's more crazier aspects to it than even that, but that's just one small example. My main gripe with the game is how long it takes to do everything. Dude, the first session, I sat down with my wife, hey, let's play this new game, and she's excited, I'm excited. Took us 2 hours just to make our characters. And when talking to my friends, they're like, oh, 2 hours, that's pretty quick. I'm like, okay. It really does take everything you do in the game, from combat to conversations to just deciding what you want to do next, takes a lot of time and critical thinking. And you could play for a couple hours and at least in my opinion, I feel like sometimes I didn't really progress very far. Like, okay, we've been playing this for 3 hours and we've done like 2 battles and we progressed the quest 1 objective. It's kind of crazy. So that's my main gripe, is the pacing is really, really slow. But if you're into these hardcore Dungeons and Dragons RPG type things, then it's right up your alley. And again, I definitely see the quality. I think it's a game that certainly belongs here. Marvel's Spider-Man 2, what really is there to say about this game? If you've played Spider-Man 1 or Miles Morales, you kind of know what you're getting into, and that's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because those prior games are so high quality and they're very fun. The web swinging, the traversal is amazing. The combat is snappy, kind of that Arkham style of combat. You're reacting from Peter's spider sense and everything. That stuff is still here. It's still very good. It's been expanded upon a bit, enough, right? It's gotten enough of an expansion to feel like, yeah, it deserves its own separate release. The narrative, I thought, was very, very good, and I think is the main thing that's going to differentiate itself from the prior 2 games. Now, Resident Evil 4 Remake, this is the one game on this list that I feel like has an argument to be swapped out with something else, simply because it is a remake. It has nothing to do with the quality of the game. It's a fantastic game, probably my second favorite of the year so far, and it's not an easy remake either. It's one that has had a significant amount of work done to it. I just think, and I've said this on social media and everything, if there was ever a year to keep a remake out of the Game of the Year nominations, this would be the year. This 2023 is chock full of so many new games, new IPs, new ideas. As fantastic as Resident Evil 4 Remake is, this is the one game that I feel like you could probably swap it out for a Final Fantasy 16, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Even though it was buggy at launch, I still freaking love that game. Heck, even a Starfield, give Starfield some love. And that's kind of the only real negative thing I guess I'd have to say about RE4 Remake being here, is that it is, at the end of the day, a remake. A lot of the set pieces, a lot of the environments, the story, all of those elements were already there at the beginning of development, and therefore, yeah, it's going to make it a bit easier than making a fresh new game or a fresh new IP. But as far as the quality of the game, as I said, it's remarkable. I love the original Resident Evil 4. I think this becomes kind of the definitive way to play Resident Evil 4. I still think if you haven't played the original, go back and play it, but I think the remake did do its job as far as staying true to it, staying faithful to the original, and improving where they could, and adding some content here and there as well. They definitely added the horror element into this more so than in the original. Darkness, segments where your flashlight is the only thing illuminating what's in front of you. You have no idea what's lurking in the darkness. Stuff like that. The creatures are more grotesque than ever. They've added some enemies. Characters have new dialogue. There's some directions in the story that slightly deviate from the original, but I think for the better. In any other year, I think it should definitely be on this nominations list. But for 2023 specifically, I feel like leave the remake out and put in a Final Fantasy 16. That's just my opinion. I still think it's a great game that, like I said, any other year it could win the whole thing. So, and lastly, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. You may know, I've been on Nishquick's channel in the past talking about this game. You may know I'm actually not a fan of this game, and that comes from before it was cool to hate on Tears of the Kingdom. Okay, I think as the further away we've gotten from Tears, the more negative conversation that's kind of come about the game for whatever reason. But I want to make a point. I was one of the originals. Okay, I was one of the original haters, but. No, I put 50 plus hours into Tears of the Kingdom, and it had its high moments, it had its low moments. Ultimately, the pacing for me is kind of what drug me out of it. But that said, I am very well aware that it is a quality experience. The ideas that they incorporated into this open world game are next level, revolutionary. Do I dare to say revolutionary? That's a strong word. But all of the different arm abilities, Ultra Hand, Fuse, Ascend. I loved Ascend was probably my favorite, if I'm being honest with you. These are concepts that no other developers dared to really try to put into a AAA experience the way that the Zelda team did here. And it is remarkable. I think it deserves its spot. Despite some of the plot holes or inconsistencies, if you will, I do still think the story had a really solid punch, had some really cool set pieces. I'm gonna avoid spoilers, I suppose, but I will say it's a game that didn't mesh for me. It wasn't for me, but I can certainly see its quality, and I think of this list here, who's gonna actually win it, who's in the legitimate running, I think it's going to be between Baldur's Gate 3 and The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Alan Wake 2, despite myself not having played it, the fact that it has gotten so many nominations throughout the variety of categories, it tells me that the panel clearly enjoyed Alan Wake 2 a lot. So I think that's kind of the dark horse. That if Alan Wake 2 could do it, maybe, but I mean that just comes down to the panel at the end of the day. You know, that's not necessarily the audience's pick, the average gamer, if you will. I'll keep an eye on Alan Wake 2. It got a lot of nominations, so they clearly loved it. But I think Baldur's Gate 3, Tears of the Kingdom, I think it's going to come down to those two, and I'm going to probably give it to Baldur's Gate 3 simply due to the impact it had during its release. I think, this shook the world. Tears of the Kingdom shook the world. Baldur's Gate 3 shook the world when it came out. So much positive praise and buzz, and it was exciting to see a studio like Larian have such a out of nowhere hit that Baldur's Gate 3 ended up becoming. Zelda, I think we all knew it was going to be good, and when we saw the gameplay reveals and the different mechanics, we were all blown away and impressed and excited to put those to the test, and people certainly did. But I just feel like the positive buzz around Baldur's Gate 3 was a bit stronger and lasted longer as well. So due to the sheer impact of its release, I'm going to say Baldur's Gate 3 will win. That's my personal prediction. I don't think it's a controversial prediction. I think it's a pretty safe prediction, if I'm being honest with you. I think a lot of people kind of feel like Baldur's Gate 3 could win. It already did win first place, excuse me, at the Golden Joystick Awards, so there's already a precedence here. But I'm going to leave it at that. I'll let you guys go ahead and continue your own discussions. Nishquick, thanks for the opportunity just to film this and submit it. Hope you guys enjoy. You can check out the channel, Lunatoons_25. Do a bunch of reviews, mostly for Nintendo, Sony, third-party releases. Yeah, I guess that's all I got. Thanks, guys. Peace.
But yeah, that's that, and yeah, we're gonna close out this awesome episode of the EXP Podcast. Thank you all for joining. Saiyaran, where can everyone find you on the internet?
You can find me at youtube.com/Saiyaran Gaming. Saiya like Saiyan, not the N, and then Ran like the verb, gaming. Also on Twitter, Saiya_Ran. I talk a lot of crap there, like I said. And yeah.
Yeah. Archery, where can everyone find you?
Just youtube.com/@archery_. On Twitter, it's also @archery_, because archery is taken everywhere. But just archery_. You'll find me, I hope.
And Shane, when are you starting the YouTube channel?
When I stop gaming.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah.
That's literally how it is.
Yeah. But Shane has been on other episodes of the EXP podcast, so you can check out the folder. I think it'll be in the description with all the episodes, and he's in a few of them. Like, we did a God of War Ragnarok spoiler cast last year, and then we talked about like Steam Deck in one last year, and then we did one with Lunatoons about Elden Ring versus Tears of the Kingdom, so that's exciting. But yeah, check out all of these guys' content, and thank you so much for joining in on this. And as for me, I will have Game of the Year stuff probably later on near the end of the year. We'll see. But yeah, thank you guys for joining. This is Nishwick signing off, and everyone else signing off. Have a great day. Go play some great games today, like a game that was released this year, because they're all great. Yeah. I'll see you guys in the next one later.